President Mark, members of your National Executive Board, and sisters and brothers, it really is a true honour for me to address the 23rd convention of the APWU here in Orlando. And on behalf of all of the international guests that are here, and of course on behalf of postal workers and members of our own union, we bring fraternal greetings and messages of solidarity. Our union, the Communication Workers Union in the UK, represents around 200,000 postal and telecommunication workers. And believe me, when I say that we face strikingly similar issues to what I've seen on your agenda, I couldn't make that any clearer. And I'm here to look, to listen, to learn, and to share experiences with you, and I hope to meet many of you during the course of the week. I did learn something last night, which was very welcome at the icebreaker session, and that is that in America, you've learned how to do line dancing to soul music as well as country and western. I'm going to take that back. I'm going to join you in the next one and try and do some of it. Look, the issues that I want to talk about that where we have very, very similar challenges. One of them is privatisation. And I salute Mark and the APWU for taking the initiative and building a grand alliance to defend public postal services. And surely this is something that you can be proud and we can be proud that you are doing. Do you know, it's right for us to have a public postal service in America. It's right for workers because it's the best way to defend terms and conditions that you fought for over many, many years. And it's the best way to avoid a race to the bottom for workers. It's right for businesses. You know, I don't buy any of this rubbish when they talk about how if you privatise something, people get a better deal. Our experience is that businesses, if they want to keep connected in America, then the best way to do that is in a fully publicly owned postal service. And of course it's right. Of course it's right, most importantly of all, for ordinary people who rely on that service and have built that service and used that service, and it's an affordable service that keeps every single part of America connected. And you know, Mark is also right. When I read some of the stuff that he's been saying recently, you know, they tell us that our industry is in decline. I see it that it's going through a cycle of change. We can't face away from that change. We have to deal with some of the new technologies and come up with new products and services. But believe me, do we really think that if our industry had no future whatsoever, that the greedy privateers that take things away to make profit would be interested? No, of course not. There is a future for this industry, and you have to make sure that it stays in public hands. Unfortunately, in the UK, we fought many, many battles successfully against privatisation, but recently we lost a battle. And coming this October, it will be the 3rd anniversary of a privatised Royal Mail. And we didn't lose that battle industrially. Our members were always willing to fight for that service. A lesson that we share with you today is that we lost that battle politically. And sad to say, I expected it from a Tory government who preach that type of privatisation ideology. They've been doing it for years and years. But in the UK, we lost it because the party that we support, the Labour Party, actually shamefully decided to support privatisation because they had no other solutions for the challenges that we face. And it caused us a lot of problems. But we continue that fight. And we've developed a strategy, a three-pronged strategy, to try and make sure that we can continue to defend those services. One, as Mike said, we reached an agreement that our members fought for in a dispute, that even after privatisation, means that at least we have 5 years of protections, 5 years where the company can't break up the business anymore. It can still be an end-to-end service provider. They can't outsource mail centres, franchise, and break the whole thing up, or the logistics side of the business, and they can't introduce two-tier terms and conditions for new workers. And we'll fight to defend that deal when it comes up for review in 2018. Secondly, we launched, even though we were privatised, we launched a fresh campaign called The People's Post. And our message to people was this, to politicians: you may have privatised the ownership of the company, but the service we provide day in, day out, 6 days a week, belongs to the people. It always will be the People's Post, and we must fight for that. And thirdly, we've developed, and there's a long way to go on this, but we've developed a strategy for growth. And whilst change is difficult for some of our members, I would urge you to also look at becoming the conscience of the American Postal Service in developing new products and services. I am convinced there is a future by putting our business at the heart of internet transactions and at the heart of our communities. We can continue to make sure that we have a strong postal service. Another issue where we're very similar is your fight against staples. And I'm pleased to say that one of the last things I did before I got on the plane to come here was to announce to our members the outcome of an industrial action strike ballot where we got 83% support to challenge the very same thing that you're facing in this country with postal closures and with services where they put them in the back of supermarkets and shops and they pay the workers the minimum wage. And we can't allow that to happen and dictate the future for workers. And the third area where we have unbelievably similar issues is in politics. And we had Brexit, you had Trump. You had Saunders, and we've got a guy called Corbyn. And I listened to what was said and watched these developments very much, and I was really impressed by the way that Saunders and his supporters, including the APWU, fought a battle that I believe has put workers' issues firmly on the agenda. And we also both face the failed economic policies of free market thinking, of privatisation, unfair competition, none of which serves the people that we represent. So it's time, if I've learnt one thing in a year of being General Secretary of the Communication Workers Union, one thing that strikes me more than anything is this is the moment where we have to bring together our industrial and political agendas. Do you remember the time many, many years ago in the 1980s when the Vision for Workers, they used to talk about we were all going to share in the benefits and the innovation of new technology. We were all going to get more leisure time and we were going to have more money to spend. By God, what's happened across the world for workers? The only innovation that workers everywhere have seen is the innovation of insecure employment models and low-pay economies. And we have to fight and mobilise now against that. You know, with Trump, there's a couple of things that he did when he came to the UK recently, which was astounding. He said to people that he was Mr. Brexit. He was your Mr. Brexit. And he said that, though, he said he was standing up for working people, masquerading as somebody who represents working people. The thing was, he said it while he was standing on a golf course in Scotland that he owned and while he was waiting to get on his private jet to come back to America. And people saw through him, and I'm confident that your people will see through him as well. I would urge this. America is a great country. It was the country that put the first man on the moon. Why don't you resurrect the space program and be the country that puts the first politician on the moon on a one-way ticket, Donald Trump? Colleagues, comrades, sisters and brothers, I'll finish by saying this. We have huge challenges. We have to change the balance of forces that are operating in the world of work. We have to fight for a new deal for workers. We have to change the balance of forces that are operating in wider society. That's our job. We don't have to wait for politicians to do it. We can do it through the strength of our organisations. And I say this, I am sure if ever I get to come back to this country, that there'll still be a People's Post Office. There'll also be a People's Post Office that has a bank that looks after the majority of people in this country who are disenfranchised from society. So my final message is this. Together, if we believe in the unions and you have a great union, you have a great union leadership, then we can change those balance of forces. We can build a society for the millions, not the millionaires. Thank you very much.